My name is Patricia Fletcher Edwards, and of course, my office is located in this main office is the branch is in Albany, Georgia. And for anyone who has never heard of Albany, Georgia, we're about 2.5 hours south of Atlanta, Georgia. We are nestled in what we call HUD Region 10. HUD Region 10 serves 14 counties and about 43 cities. And we're one of only about four housing counseling agencies in the area. And then we also dip into North Florida when we have to as well. So we have a little bit of extended reach. Is where we are. And it's mostly, and just to give you another, it's mostly rural. The majority of it is a rural area with about two good urban centers, but majority of it being rural.
It was in 2015 when we were both in Athens for the USDA meeting.
Yes, exactly right.
And that's the only USDA meeting I've ever been to in my life. But that's because you have a lot of rural clients. Is that right?
That's exactly right. We do. We have a very high rural population. We do indeed. We do indeed. And for all the outlining areas, they are directed to our office. And so it has helped over the last period of time because we were able to do so many things virtually and by phone. During the pandemic, it helped us serve a lot more, so they didn't have to drive in typically to our office. But so that was a very good thing for us at the time, and it expanded that outreach in that area.
So I imagine, you mentioned how few housing counseling agencies there are in the region. And so I imagine the geographic area is pretty far. It's probably stretched. I'm sure it's far flung, especially if it's rural. So how has that continued since the pandemic? Have you seen more clients getting help because of accessibility? Because, otherwise they'd be driving long distances, or because of their age or disability or anything or busyness, working 2-3 jobs, whatever is necessary these days. Do you find that you're able to serve clients that perhaps you may not have been able to because of video conferencing or telephone?
Actually, yes, in the sense of getting the information to them a little bit easier, but because being able to speak more extensively on the phone, and because this is rural area, the broadband air, didn't stretch as far with certain things. Being able to deal with them on the phone has made this information much more accessible to, and we've had the response much more helpful as well, giving them and being able to direct them, being able to connect them to resources that's necessary, for them as whatever they're dealing with, whether it's rental and, all the litany of things that we do. During the pandemic, it was making sure that they connected especially when they got into areas where they had these COVID impacts, being able to connect them with state resources that were able to be helpful, or even helping them engage to get the necessary help they needed from their servicers, which was a big thing because a lot of them didn't understand for the fact all the services had to do was no. And then that would be able to open up the door for more help. And so that was very helpful. And we helped a lot of people in that regard. We really did.
So on the front end there of outreach and marketing, it seems like there was a bigger audience that was receptive to receiving information that way. Maybe the pandemic sort of forced all of us to use more digital tools to become more familiar with it, and not just rely on coming to the brick and mortar, which I imagine it's just useful for that. I mean, in a really populated city, in Atlanta, we have 3 or 4 offices, I don't know, with Cobb County and Fulton County. So it's a little different. So I imagine that kind of accessibility is particularly helpful in more rural
Very
areas.
helpful. We got a lot of referrals simply because in this area, like I said, it's in this region, HUD Region 10. This NID office is pretty much we are one of the leading sources for foreclosure prevention and the being able to help them mitigate with, foreclosure mitigation and helping them work through that. We get a lot of referrals from other housing counseling agencies in this area because we are a trusted source with that. We've proven ourselves. We're proven, trusted and proven in there. So USDA will send their people, City of Albany will send their people, those outline. They will send them because they know, even though they may be good in certain other things, we really work hard that's our niche. We really do work hard with people who are in dealing with servicers and trying to help them get some form of assistance or whatever. So we appreciate that. Collaborations with these, with our little area. Part of what we do, the director of the Southwest Georgia Housing Task Force in this area, and which puts us at the center also of outreach, being able to get the word out for what NID does, and who, we're able to really work to help people in this comprehensive housing arena. So we really do good on that.
That's a big referral source. That's a very respected when you have the USDA, when you have a federal agency, or you have a municipal agency referring individuals to your office for help. I mean, that's a big endorsement, and it's one that I know you and NID in general. That's why we take so much care around that HUD certification, because it does. I mean, do you have a sense of that as a branch office manager, just how special or how valuable it is to be HUD certified and to be trusted by the government and agencies like that?
We really do. It sets us apart. We're able to really say that. We get the respect a couple of things I noticed that get really good respect when we deal with services and other agencies. It was, in this, I was dealing with a local, I should say regional bank, that they do a lot of portfolio loans and different things like that, if you're familiar. But one of the things that they asked when I was on the phone with them, with one of the clients, and they said, well, I'm with my counselor, my housing counselor. And the first thing that the regional person said, well, are you paying such and such and such? And I said, no, I am a HUD certified housing counselor. And this is what we do. We're a nonprofit organization that we deal with this. And it seemed the whole tenor of his conversation changed. And it seemed like there was so much respect added to the conversation. And you heard the before and the after, to knowing that the credibility that was put on that made a big difference. They know we coming with facts. We coming in a way, a knowledge base that they know that we're there to advocate effectively on the behalf of the client. They realized that, and it just was a different kind of conversation that I appreciated, and I think they did as well, because they know that we're going to tell the client to do the right thing, and they can expect that we're going to give them our best to help, build their financial capability to the best of our ability, to help the client understand their strengths, whatever, how to engage properly. And it makes for better outcomes, greater outcomes. So we appreciate that a whole lot. So, and I'll tell you what else it did. One of the things we had our housing conference, the Housing Task Force. We had our housing conference, and we were so delighted because HUD was our special guest. The Office of Housing Counseling was our special guest for the task force. And they recognized and they knew NID. They knew who NID was. They knew issue was. They engaged that, and it's just the weight of that is very important, and it just helps us in this space to stand with that, and to they know we come serious. It's a serious. They know that we're serious. It's just not just fly by night kind of thing. It's a very serious commitment to every part of it, dealing with the pre-purchase, just the fact that we don't have our skin in the game is our passion, right? Our skin in that game is wanting to know the people to be empowered to get what they need at every aspect of it. That's what we are.
That's fantastic. So that's great because, what you touched on there is something that maybe isn't directly relevant to the purpose where, we're going to be putting this on social media channels and the website as a way to, obviously let clients know mostly that, we're a resource for them and that we're real people. One of the things I hear all the time, and in fact, I was talking to someone from BMO over the last couple of weeks, but I hear it all the time that the difference between NID and other housing counseling agencies is the physical presence in the community. You have a lot of larger housing counseling agencies like NACA or otherwise that are call centers, big call centers that do things remotely. And especially, I imagine, in a rural population like we talked about, who in Albany, Georgia wants to call a call center that's going to be picked up in, Philadelphia or Idaho or California and feel comfortable talking to them about their property and their livelihood in a place, whereas you're physically there and you're familiar with the neighborhood and you may even know some of the clients, or at least you have enough familiar reference points together where that forges a trust, not only with the institution, but with like a financial institution, but with the client themselves. Do you find that? Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the changing ways people do business, but when you have a demographic that mostly of baby boomers and beyond, the way with everything, I know the digital age is going to be what the digital age is going to be, but some people, they didn't even learn the floppy disk era, okay? So you know good well. So that's a lot of our demographic of those that have not. You would be surprised the number of people that call and say, and I'll say, well, we have a digital way. We can say, I don't have an email. I can maybe check with my daughter or granddaughter or to see can I do whatever, if that's the case. They would much rather be able to come in or much rather engage in this way that we can facilitate, because they are, and it's just, the curve is past them. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so being there means a lot to them it means a lot to them that we're here.
Yeah.
One, we get more walk-ins. You haven't been here to our office here in Albany, and we just at the beginning of the year, I think toward the end of the last year, where we started really going back to the walk-in scenario, where we know, because we really, everything was done by appointment, but we've now back over where we have standard walk-ins. The number of walk-ins. We're part of the homeless coalition here, the Albany Doherty County Homeless Coalition, and so. And the homeless, the way that whole, they don't move like we move. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, by the time you write their phone number down, there's change, right?
Wow.
By the time you write that last digit, because it's a whole different. But they walk into our office for immediate assistance to try to connect them to resources, because of where we're located. Our office is probably about 100 yards from the Greyhound bus station, right? So we're going to get that little walk-in influx. We're going to get that people who know that we're where we are located. Our office is in the government center. They'll come because they're looking to say, well, you go over there to that housing, they can probably help you. And we get those walk-ins like constantly, like
that's
that.
Incredible. That's a piece that isn't talked about and really didn't occur to me, even like where, homelessness is obviously, it's a lot more in the news lately. Maybe you never know with election years why certain topics are in the news. And I live in Los Angeles now, and, obviously the homeless population here is, notorious. And I live in the San Fernando Valley, and I'll go on a run at night, and it's, within a tenth of a mile, and there's yellow tent cities everywhere. There's really, it's almost like you see development sometimes building condos or whatever, and it's mirrored in the tent cities now, where every time you go out, there's a new tent city coming up. Like the development's actually happening on the street, which is just bizarre. But, to be able to, when you mentioned, older folks or, the floppy disk generation that passed by, or the technology that passed them by, and homelessness, of course, too, we're talking about really time-sensitive issues here. If someone's in foreclosure or someone's living on the streets and you got to wait to play, phone tag through email with relatives and nieces or granddaughters or daughters or sons or whatever, that could potentially be, fatal to a foreclosure, like a forbearance or modification.
See, this is the thing. That's why, they have, the only mechanism that they can really be sure, the one that they can control, is to be able to get on their phone and make that call, hey, because, but if you're responding with an email and that's all they're looking, you might possibly miss them, especially like you say, for time sensitive kind of things. And now snail mail is a whole different kind of thing now, even so, it's delayed except you paying exorbitant amounts to, overnight stuff or do stuff. But if it's just coming the number, when I deal with people who are dealing with evictions and things like that, and they'll say, I didn't receive such an order, I didn't get that or whatever. But that's no excuse for them, the powers that be going to move forward, whatever the case may, you know what I'm saying. You got to try to prove for eviction, that you did, there was, the summons weren't delivered or something of that nature. But in Georgia, it's a non-judicial foreclosure state, right? So they only have to say that they show that they sent the green card, regardless if the green card come back or not. Though that calendar keeps rolling, right? It keeps moving, and you can, except we had, and some people don't know that, that okay, you got 120 days. That's that Fed mandate that allowed that, you know what I'm saying, to at least protect them for them 120 days. But after them 120 days, some of them, they moving with all quickness to hey, advertise, sell. That's it. Advertise, yeah. Then you're auctioning off. Advertise and auction. That's what you're getting.
It's incredible to me how quick I've seen financial institutions clamp down right after any deadline or government mandated forbearance. I mean, even with my student loans from law school, I even tell people at the national office, my colleagues, about email, that if something is truly time sensitive, please call me or text me, because my email is so full of spam and other communications, and there's just sort of inconsequential things in there that even someone who is attached to technology practically all day long, I will miss things. And, I noticed that after the student loan forbearance expired, that I think I was like 7 days late on a payment. And I got a letter in the mail talking about a collection agency already being put on that loan because of a 7-day, delinquency in paying.
Wow. But you know what? I mean, it's almost like they're a little countdown, like 10, 9, 8, 7. All right, we're gonna, finish. And really, and one thing about it, you said something about call. Even if you receive that call, a lot of now we've already trained ourselves. Oh, that's spam, and that's spam.
Unknown number. I ain't answering that.
But it'll be quicker though. Hey, if you go ahead and leave that message, someone I'll at least pick it up and return the call or whatever. But we know how we've gotten trained about stuff now. Like, okay.
Well, and that's just it. If we're like professionals using these tools and we still are missing deadlines or missing timetables, what are we going to do with a rural population or an aging population or a homeless population that doesn't even have access to the technology to use, or a home address to get any mail? The only recourse, it seems, is to be able to physically talk to someone or be able to connect with someone directly, because we all know how to do that if we're able to meet up with someone or physically get to the same location.
Absolutely. And just to know that we're here, they can just come back here. They know that we're here. It's somewhat of a stability to them, a little comfort to them, just to know that, okay, I'm gonna go back in there, talk to Ms. Edwards, I'm gonna go back in there, whatever. And it does to be in that kind of place on the ground. It is very helpful. So.
Wow. Yeah, this is definitely something I think that distinguishes NID and its branch offices from a lot of other agencies, and even government agencies. You know how hard it is to get in touch with a government agency. Walk-ins are discouraged because you'll be there all day. DMV kind of nightmare.
That's
and horror,
right. You got
trying to do something.
What did it say? Get a number, pull a number, and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. Right. Right, and no one's going to do that. So this is a widespread issue. You know, it's interesting to see since COVID, during COVID, and since then, there's this impression that, you know, technology has grown to connect us even more and allow us to, you know, have commerce run and day-to-day business run solely on technology means. And I think, you know, you start to see that pushback, like, this isn't suitable for everyone, whether it's because of economic disparity and access to technology, or just, you know, it's just not a relevant part of daily life to use these tools.
That's right.
And, you know, this might not be true. This might just be some kind of stereotype, but do you notice that there's, you know, a stronger desire to hold on to the home from those that are approaching foreclosure? Because are these homes in rural areas, you know, especially those that might be attached to agriculture, that kind of thing, do you see that they've been in the family longer? Is this more of like you know, like saving a family, you know, asset or something like that? Or is it more like the urban areas anyway, where it's just kind of like usually 1-2 generations tops that has it or something?
But right now, if we're dealing with the first generation, it's about survival. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the cost of renting is astronomical. So some of the you know, with USDA and their subsidy program, the rural subsidy, you know, that they get, people, you know, I still have my clients, a lot of them, especially coming in from the rural area. You know, where have you seen a mortgage? It's $340 some. And the way I get them every time that they'll come in, or $640 or $740. Any mortgage is less than $1,000. Let's be real. You better hold on to it for dear life, because now any decent rental is going up $1,200 and up. And now, you know, you know, they got the thing now, because used to be you measure 3 times, you know, whatever your staff, you know, whatever, 3 times.
The percentage that you should have on the housing cost, is that right?
3 times, you know, 3 times the amount. That used to be a big measurement for, you know, 3 times the amount, even with the formulas that we use.
30%, is that right? 30% of the monthly
but
payment.
But however, now, to be real, it used to be third, right? But however, now, they know most of these rents are 50% in this area, because it's 50% or more for rents. Yeah. 50% or more. It's and one of the things that you talk about, we have tax credit properties here, right? A lot of tax credit. And we've had this is our conversation with HUD. This is our conversation with DCA, Georgia DCA, that we were having. We're literally talking to them, because what's happening is in the MSA, in the Albany, Dougherty County MSA, the wages are they're somewhat suppressed here. You know what I'm saying? You're talking $10-15 an hour. So really, our average income is for this area. Our income area median income for Dougherty County, it's like 40-something thousand. But what they did was, because Lee County, which is a more affluent county, their numbers are included in here, which raises the MSA to like 70-some thousand, right? So the HUD numbers are coming in for that percentage way higher. And that's skewed. And I'm literally telling them, matter of fact, I had this conversation with them during our housing conference. I said, that's skewing. That's not true. Those are not true numbers. You have an affluent 70-something thousand average being skewed, and they which brought this home, which they brought it up. So now what's supposed to be 60%, 40%, it's like, and the people, I think their rents are going up because of, I'm talking about in tax credit properties. not because of anything that the landlord is doing the property management is doing that's wrong. It's because the HUD allowed that to, and that's a big deal. That has really caused a problem with some of our seniors, some of our, people that cannot. When they're coming in at 60%, they need to come in there. You know what I mean? Because their
it's not like they're
wages
living in luxury. It's not like they have penthouses
Exactly.
where they're paying 60% of their income. I mean, these are like, just subsistence level apartments, I imagine. I mean, I live in a 500 square foot ADU. It's a converted carport, and it's $23.50 a month in Los Angeles for a 500 square foot converted carport. I mean, fortunately I'm bachelor, I don't have children, so the space is enough for me. But when you look at that, and I won't tell you, I mean, but the percentage of income,
go get you a tiny house. Just.
I saw an ad for those kind of modular, things like even like converted ship containers, and I'm looking at it and being like, that's nice, because like carport, you're like, I'll take a cube. That looks actually kind of modern.
Hey,
and nice.
Listen, especially the way they're dressing some of them out, and we talked about all the alternatives that can add more affordable housing, and another thing we've done when Hope was here, because people have this thing, not in my backyard kind of thing, and so the term affordable housing has taken a hit because people, when they hear the word affordable housing, they immediately think low to moderate. Their mind goes there. So we've sort of changed the way we sort of conversate. Now we say workforce, because that makes more, people don't, because workforce is the workforce wherever, if it's they're the doctors or they're the and it's affordable housing within, what I'm saying, that makes sense for the workforce, that okay, we're not talking people just sitting home just staring at, we're talking people that's working, like your firefighters, your policemen, your this and that. So we're talking, we need more quality workforce housing that meets so that a working person can afford to live there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether you're an attorney such as yourself or whatever the case may be, or the janitor in their level.
Right.
And so people, like I say, when they hear, oh, this affordable housing subdivision is coming here, they're immediately thinking it's some kind of
sober living halfway house, something where they're like, oh, there's going to be all this crime attached and all that kind of stuff.
But that, and so we've had to work with that. We've had to work to change that as well. We need to listen what we're talking about. But
and that goes back to go on, please.
I said the need is great, and I want to tell you that the biggest thing that we're having right now is dealing with the explosion of homelessness because of high rents. People cannot afford, and the lack of affordable spaces. That's a big deal.
And homeownership is just off the table. There's no down payment savings. There's no credit, that can qualify for even a generous down payment assistance home. If you can't afford the rents, the only option is relatives, friends, or the street, right?
That is why my HSCP numbers are off the chain, because they were looking, I do some first time home buyer stuff, and I do it because we have to do it. That's our, but the need, I remember when I got my first allocation for HSCP, and it was some minimum. And I told Letitia, I said, baby, I get this in a day. I get this in a day. Because I'm telling you, I get this in a day. I literally can fulfill this number in a day. If I were to document, surely what I do is, I do what we call general, and what I do is it's a general intake page, which is like the prospect page, if you see whatever. Sure. All of them are not turned into, they're not turned into clients, okay? But I'll let you, if you see this is a whole folder with nothing but, and I have a notebook where I have the prospects of people that have come in. I haven't turned them into, I don't even, Because if I were to turn every one of these into something, you know what I'm saying, into an actual file, because the need is that great.
Yeah, so you'd be doing the work of maybe a homeless agency, like a government agency or something, in your office.
And I don't have, we don't get the
funding to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and me being a small branch, there's only so much me as one, a HUD approved counselor, although I have some, I have administrative staff that helps me, but there's only so much that I can, logically do, what I'm saying? So, but if I were to turn all these into, I'm talking about, in this alone, I mean, that's how great the need is for, and I'm talking homelessness and rental. That's it's just off the wazoo with that, because the need is so impactful. And if I stretch out and do that, really go, is one of the things I had purpose to do, is going into some of these just really doing the pop-ups in some of these outlining areas. You'll receive the data, you'll get it. I won't get the money, but you'll get the data for it, because the need is so great. The need, it's no question you'll be able to, and one thing about it, DCA, when I'm saying DCA, that's the state agency that has that. And one of the things that DCA, they had the rental monies that they didn't spend properly because they didn't do it outright. So what they get now is about $2 million a month, and they are having Georgia Legal Services. This is for the state, though. This is the whole state.
Yeah, no, that's why. I mean, it seemed like nothing. I mean, $2 million a month to, deal with these issues seems like it's just a gesture almost. I mean, it doesn't even seem like it'll do anything.
But this is the issue. When I sat there with the ones who administer that, and I said, "Why are y'all doing this?" They went to Georgia Legal Services, and this is how they have to do it. They literally do it on a lottery base. They administer on a lottery basis. What you have to do, the lines are open Monday and Wednesday, and you literally have to just let people be refer into that, and all you can do is call,
and just wait,
and just keep calling until you can get through.
Oh, okay.
If you get through, you have probably the possibility of them being able to take your application. You can get through and they'll say, "Oh, we're not doing any more applications for today." So it's literally, if you can get through. I've sent probably about 30, 40 people through that program. Probably about 5 or 6 have really gotten through. If you get through now, you're going to get 3 months. They'll pay you up to, you can get, they'll pay you up to 18 months and they'll pay you 3 months over. You'll get it. But it's like a lottery. It's just literally like a lottery. And the guy said, we can't do it any other way. This is the way we have to do it because we only have $2 million, and this is the best way we can do it.
So it's more barriers. Even the help is coming with more barriers to getting the help.
And
where you have to, and that's discouraging, especially if every moment's a struggle. Then, if you have a phone and you have the time to spend on it, you're not trying to work to scrape together. I mean, it's incredible the amount of struggle that needs to be going through just to even get these benefits. And, going back to what you said earlier about the skewing of the income because of an adjoining county that's affluent, again, that's something that when you look at pure numbers and data, it doesn't tell the story, for that MSA. And it has such profound effects on everything, the whole radiating effect of because there's this misapprehension that the data is valid for the adjoining county or, the clients that you're dealing with, that, there's maybe not such a great need. And what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of need there on the ground. It's just going unnoticed by the numbers.
Oh, believe me, they know it's a lot of need.
They know it's there. Okay.
They know.
The state does.
Now, you know what I'm saying? Because we scream it. We scream it. Of course, we put the numbers into Counselor Max when we have them. We do that so that the ones that go up, they do go up. But you will see, when they review that, they see what's happening, of course. And when, on the HSCP side, they see that. So it is that. And But I'm glad, like I said, we can only do what we can do. We try to do it the best of our ability. We appreciate the opportunity. And sometimes I have a conversation with our colleagues just say why, because we see you can, and especially my office, this office is a full-time. It's a full-time branch. We don't share like we do in real estate. My real estate firm is in Florida, so I don't do real estate here in Georgia at all. So all that we do here is 100% housing counseling. That's what we do, 100%.
Okay, so I wish we had so much more time. I just wanted to get two quick questions, get your answers and experience on these two quick questions. So one thing we've seen, thankfully, a lot recently, I mean, thankfully for our counselors, not even just clients, but there's a growing focus on mental health within HUD programs, just within our clients. And I know, all the things like vicarious or, helper PTSD, you hear in all these stories constantly, and you have to hear them and slog through them and not have your own mental health affected, or even dealing with, put aside technological challenges, populations that are suffering so much and might be suffering with mental illnesses, making it even difficult to work with them, perhaps to get to their goals, or there's just so many ways that could be challenging. Do you have any experience or perspective on that, like on how that's been changing, or what that, how that changes being a branch office manager and housing counselor?
Well, that is one of the things that I'm very interested in more about, the perspective. I mean, I see, the impacts when people come and they tell you that they cannot, they're so overwhelmed, and they just frozen. And I had one guy that came in here last week, and he was saying, I just couldn't deal with it. You know what I'm saying? because I'm just so overwhelmed. I don't even want to open the envelope. You know what I'm saying? People will say, well, just communicate with your lender. Just all you got to do is pick up and just communicate. But when you're so overwhelmed, and when you're in a headspace that you're depressed, and that is all you can do just to manage, or just to, you see those kind of, and unfortunately, for here, the ones that we can transfer, we give like family counseling referrals and different things of that nature. But for the just the mildly, people, they're dealing with, they don't even know what they're dealing with, that there is, they wouldn't go to like the behavioral health that they have here, but it's something that they may not even recognize in themselves, and the impact. So it is something, when I heard them speak on this, that we want to do and want to be able to engage it so much more. That resource, to have that resource, I'm anxious to know more about it. I heard them speak on it, and so I'm very anxious to know much more about it.
That's great. Yeah, that's something that I think is going to be very helpful especially for our people. There are, I'm sure, phenomenal successes that you have, like individuals that just, they have those results that shocks them and, really puts them in a great position, and they're so grateful to you. And we'll need to get into those specifics later. But despite that, there's a lot of challenges. And as we just ended on, a lot of mental health challenges that can bleed over onto you and your staff and have an effect on you. So given all the difficulty, the lack of resources, why do you stay on as an NID counselor?
You asked a great question. One I've asked myself, especially during challenging times, especially those times when the budget looks a little strange. And you ask yourself, why do you stay? And then I have to ask, I said, well, God, I have to put it this way. This is the way you made me. You made me on this side of, to be, that I'm most comfortable being an advocate. I'm most comfortable being able to help. That's my character. That's the way I'm made. And so I remember when at the height of the foreclosure crisis, and one of the things, I got into housing counseling because prior to that, and when I was at NARAB, and to understand how to benefit my housing, my actual, people, my buyers, to understand programs and to be able to assist them in that, right? Mm-hmm. And for my sphere of what I dealt with, and that's why I got into housing counseling back in 2006, 2007 is when I really got into it. And then when the crisis hit, we got the calls that, okay, we need all hands on deck for this. The NFMC is what it was back then, and tried to help people save. And so we were in the midst of getting NFMC, and we wanted everybody to, and we had to try to figure it out. But at that same time, though, we had a lot of REO companies coming after us because of what was happening on that side. And I remember there was a choice that I had to make at that time. Did I want to be an REO broker that would be responsible for putting people out of their house? Because that's what was required, that you have to be responsible once that you have to see to it that they get, moved on out and ... And I remember I said, I can't do that. That's not me. I'm there's money to be made there too. And some people, and it doesn't negate people that are. But in me, I would rather be on the side of helping them save their house. Yeah. And to help them save their dream. And help, hopefully, that they could defer it or show them how to. And I know there are all aspects of this that we do. When you have to make a transition, some things you just can't be helped. But my greatest is when we were able to help save, and the joy of being able to teach somebody how to obtain it, how to get their dream, on the and the joy I'm helping to give people some information that they didn't know, that enhanced their life, that enhanced their and helped their situation. That was where I landed. That's how I'm made. That's my energy. My energy can go full, and I knew I was made for it, because even though I was tired, and some days were long and I was tired, I wasn't burnt out though. And I was ready to do it again the next day.
So the energy is coming from God, probably, where it's flowing through you and not
and that was the point. Because, I might have gotten physically tired, but the passion was still was there. Like, it would make me come and do it again. Make me come and do it again, even when I don't, like I said, the budget sometimes is slow about being met.
Sure.
But I still get there, still do it, still make it happen, still beg for another day, let's try it again, let's do it. And so that I would say this is the way I was created. This is the side that he put me on. This is the side I put it like someone told me a long time ago, and it's true. God made the canary, God made the crow. One of them sings beautifully, comes. You know what I'm saying? And even in this ecological system, you have it at its base. You have prey, you have predator. Everything has its for the cycle. But the way he put me is on this part, and I just I'm on assignment, and mine's just to do well and to give as much as I can in this space that I can for the time that I can. And that's what I do.
That's fantastic. Because a lot of what we talked about here is so much bigger than mere housing. And I say that with a grain of salt, because obviously housing is not something negligible, but there's so much more to this, and there's such a bigger story that's being told here. I really want to bring that to the awareness of our clients and our funders and policymakers and everything, that this is a bigger story that's being captured.
It's a bigger story, and I appreciate, and see, this is the thing, I appreciate NID for creating this space, I appreciate, I've always used to always just love when we would go to those conventions, and we would go be in this live trainings. I love to hear Mr. Carlisle. We was especially Dr. Ford. She was one of the ones that we came in together. But we was love it. She's 95 now, but that thing would get her when she say, "Oh, I just like to see Mr. Carlisle go off," because he would get off, he would just get on it, because she would just love that. Would just be the high that would just make her just, and but the thing about it, to create this space for what it is, the path to be able to help someone to, I know we talk about democracy in housing, but, and we know with that being threatened, we see that, but mine is just to do what I can do. All the while I can do it, and appreciate NID for having me and showing confidence in us throughout this time and giving us the support that we've needed, to do as much as we could in the space that we can. And I've seen them evolve to try to even do more, and just the many programs that have opened up. And certainly we appreciate, you and Al, because I remember when we had that meeting up there in Atlanta, you all made a special trip in to see how we could make it happen, and hey, I don't think that would be the last time.
No, it won't, especially now. I'd love to see myself out there more. Okay, I don't mean to have an abrupt end here, but I should run. But thank you so much, and have a great holiday week.
Have a great holiday week. You as well.
Okay, bye-bye.